Well, my name is Judy WALIMAA, and my mother is Aino WALIMAA. When she worked here, she was a Gangasaho, and so her first, through her first marriage, she was a Gangasaho. Her maiden name was Torsinen from Finland. She was originally from Suitsamo, which was taken over by Russia during the war.
Oh, so she's on the Karelian side that was...
Yes.
Okay.
So they took her family farm, and she had to relocate to Lieksa. And this was her first place of employment, and this is her memorial. She just passed away recently. She arrived to Thunder Bay in 1953, I think.
Okay.
And she came from Helsinki in Finland.
Okay.
And she came with her first husband and her son. And, her first husband, his name was Matti, and her son's name was Mori, and Aino. And so her first job was here at the Hoito. She was a waitress.
Okay.
More than a sense of community, it was a place to connect with other Finns and being able to communicate. And so my mom didn't speak a word of English, and so it was very easy for her to be here around other Finns and work here because everybody spoke
Do
Finnish.
you remember, did she ever tell you about how they dressed in the 50s? Were they, in some of these pictures we see them in pinafores and in apron dresses and stuff like that. How were they, do you remember, or did she tell you how they were dressed back then?
I don't remember her talking about any dress code that was here for the Hoito, but I know that my mother personally, she was always well dressed, and so the dresses, the nylons,
High heels?
yes, well, moderately.
Okay, yeah.
She didn't do the big spikes, but good, always well dressed, and I don't know whether it was a Finnish thing. I've never talked about this with other Finnish ladies, but she wore a corset always, and I had to convince her to let that go when they stopped making them. That was only a few years ago. Yeah. So.
Really? So even in her 90s, she wore a corset?
She would not let it go.
Wow.
Well, I remember my mom telling me about stories about when she worked here, and of course the restaurant was designed differently, so we had the booths all along this side wall here.
Okay.
I don't know how many there were, but and there were wooden booths, so the backs of the cubicles gave you a nice sense of privacy kind of thing, and then there were longer tables, more in the center here. So there'd be like a row of longer tables. And then over in that would be the west side wall, there was the countertop with the stools, and people would sit along there as well. I do remember her talking about these booths and the tables and serving everybody, and the cost of the food back then. So
How much, what kind of things did she talk about, like the cost?
well, she would say puro, porridge would be like, it was like in the cents, like less than $1 or something like that for a bowl of porridge that she would serve the men and stuff like that. So the prices were just very inexpensive. We would come on Saturdays as a family and to Bay Street, period, and we would come to the Hoito, and we'd go I think there was a back door. I remember.
There still was a back door.
We'd come in through the back door because we wouldn't come in through the front with the restaurant, and they would have bread for sale, and we would get the graham bread or the rye bread, and oh my God, it was like fresh out of the oven kind of thing, and then we'd go to Bay Meats and we'd pick up some cheeses and some makara. And they'd leave me in the truck or in the vehicle with the bread, and I'd find a way of breaking it open and eating the inside of the bread and putting it back.
Oh dear!
And
Sneaky.
Sneaky, yes.
Wow.
Well, I brought her a picture of when she was, probably, this is what she would have looked like when she came here to the Puerto.